Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review. This Town Needs Guns, or most recently shortened to TTNG 13.0.0.0.0. Obviously, the title and the cover from this album are a reference to the Mayan calendar and the sort of shift we've made into a new era according to this calendar. And, you know, we were all freaked out about how the world was going to end. These guys are a rock outfit hailing from the UK. This is their sophomore full-length LP, and one of math rock's more emotional and indie rock flavored bands, and also a group that has had quite a bit of turbulence over the course of their musical career. Over the years, the band has gone through at least half a dozen different members, some of them even leaving the group before they were actually able to put out their first full-length LP. And with this new LP, This Town Needs Guns, or TTNG, is actually premiering a new singer, Henry Tremaine. And even though all this change has kind of gone on with the band's ranks, it hasn't really affected focus or progression, I guess you could say. Because right now the group is kind of, with this LP, settled into this combination of song structures written with that straightforward, modern, accessible indie rock sensibility, along with a lot of math rock, guitar phrasing, and drumming, and there is a bit of emo influence on the side with many of the songs on this LP as well, which really influence not only the melody writing, but sort of the personality of the vocals as well. There might also be a bit of a sort of slick, mainstream alternative rock vibe going on with some of the tracks here as well. There is definitely an avoidance of aggression and abrasion on this LP, which really does kind of turn some people off to many underground rock bands. The only sort of modern groups that I could think to instantly compare these guys to are bands like, I guess, sort of Maps and Atlases, which also combine elements of math rock with indie rock. However, I don't really find Maps and Atlas's songwriting to be all that kind of sharp or memorable. I could compare these guys to a group maybe like Minus the Bear as well, although I've never really been a huge Minus the Bear fan either. In my opinion, what can be so enjoyable about TTNG on this LP is that their enjoyability comes pretty easy, despite a pretty obvious technical flair. The difficult to execute guitar work is here on many songs on this album, but it doesn't really impede the emotion of the track. Right from the start of this LP with the song Cat Fantastic, This Town Needs Guns brings, with Henry Tremaine's vocals, this very sort of lazily, whimpery, slow singing vocal that, even though I kind of use those adjectives, they're not really fantastic adjectives, it is sort of a captivating singing voice. The vocals really have kind of a sweet modern melody to them, especially when the band breaks into this slowed down area of the track where all these guitar arpeggios hit, and it feels like the chords are descending but yet ascending really quickly. It's an awesome, just top-notch, stellar chord progression on this part of the track. The time signature is kind of off-kilter. The segues in between the portions of this track are great. The grooves are nice. This track is well executed. It's loaded with musical details. I actually have kind of a strange attraction to a lot of the vocal melodies on this LP. I don't exactly think Henry is maybe as weird or maybe as, I guess, sort of stand out a vocalist as TTNG's last singer, but he is a smoother singer. I do think he has kind of a wider appeal with his voice. Henry has a tendency to sing at a much slower pace than the sort of very busy and complex guitars and drums, kind of hacking away at all these interesting ideas underneath him. And it kind of gives the listener the opportunity to listen to the song at two different paces. It's sort of like the vocals and the guitars and drums are sort of in their own little worlds, and yet they are so tight and they are so together and they complement each other so well. A lot of the songs on the first half of this LP are pretty good. I don't think the album falters until the band starts introducing these kind of short interlude segue tracks that are too short to really kind of leave an impact of their own, and yet don't really bring the album into any new phases or sections or anything like that. After these segue tracks are basically tracks that sound like the tracks you heard before the segue tracks. I'm not sure if TTNG is trying to distract away from that by throwing in these short little bits that are either acoustic or maybe have a little bit of piano or kind of have an electronic beat in them to kind of make it feel like there's some sort of diversity. But the album doesn't really change gears in any significant way until the track Two Birds, One Stone, which is an acoustic song and a beautifully awesome one. But the track isn't really all that well developed when compared to other songs here, and the song, honest to God, spends an entire minute fading out. The rest of the LP is pretty nice. It doesn't really actually kind of grab my attention in any significant way until the track +3 Awesomeness Repels Water, on which the band is actually jamming really hard on a pretty nice groove. I love the way that these guys can just intricately layer guitars and drums, and with just so little instrumentation just make so much sound, and just keep it kind of sweet, keep it enjoyable, and just intoxicatingly relaxing, which I think in a nutshell kind of describes this LP. I'm feeling a strong 6 to a light 7 on this LP. If you've given it a listen, what did you think of it? Love it, hate it, why? And what do you think I should review next? Anthony Fantano, This Town Needs Guns, or TTNG, forever.